Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. So I will be presenting today on open science. So the title is Open Access for All, but it's a bit more broad than open access. So just with a little outline of what I will be presenting. Once again, just to remind ourselves, but I think everyone knows. So why do we want open science, open access? What is, I will talk a little bit, but briefly about the evolving landscape. So basically challenges in maintaining or reaching open access compliance, the requirements, and yeah, as I said, the challenges. Then I will go into a little bit of data interoperability and OAI PMH compliance, and this showing a few updates and improvements that we have worked on this year to reach Plan S compliance was our goal. So just to talk a little bit about the open access landscape, we know that there are a large number of funders, and there is in the number of open access policies that are adopted by the different funders, by the different governments, are growing in number. These are very similar between each other, so the basic principle of open science and open access remain the same, but there are different requirements depending on one policy or another, and then the range of requirements is growing. There are more things to consider, and the complexity of reaching and maintaining or even calculating compliance is increasing. So we have focused, or this year, but in general, if we look at Plan S, what Plan S aims to is to have the immediate and free access and discoverability of scholarly publications and research outputs and research, also data sets, like research data that is associated to funding. And it has requirements, so Plan S has requirements both for publication venues, so journals and publishing companies, and for institutional repositories. So, looking at open access compliance, I have already mentioned this in the previous slide, but we know that globally there are similar requirements. So we have UKRI, for example, Plan S, Open Air, and at the base these are all similar. These cover two main aspects that are to make research open and accessible, and to also make data, that the research data is compliant, meaning that it is structured, it has a standard structure, and it can be understood, so that you are able to transfer and reuse the data in different systems or for different needs. In Pure, we already have a number of open access related features and functionality, such as open access guideline section, or now we have, Thomas talked about it before if anyone saw his presentation about the Open Air compliance box that we have for datasets on the datasets editor, integrations with Sherpa Romeo and the OAJ. So we have several things, but we are not quite there yet. So what we tried to do at the start of the year is we tried to look, because it's easy to talk about what the principles of open science and open access are, but then the requirements are not really clear. So when is it that we can claim that we are compliant and that we have everything, and we wanted to reach a point in which Pure is compliant. So we did this exercise at the beginning of the year, and we went through, so we started looking at the requirements for institutional repositories. That I hope it's readable. Yes, so we made a list of these requirements that are going around. Okay, so the first one is the repository must be included in the Open Door directory, and then the requirements go around interoperability and accessibility. So that data having licenses, having information on funding and related grants, persistent identifiers, DOIs, etc. What you see in the table is, so when we started this year, so what you see in the column in Pure is what the requirements are, what functionality we already had in Pure on these lines, so that satisfy these requirements. So we already have, we have support for OAI PMH and different formats of OAI PMH. And we have some information on, so we have persistent identifiers, we have some of this. We were missing, so what you see on the right is things that were still not available in Pure. So we started the year saying, okay, we want to look at what is missing, go through it. So there are, these I can go through because the main things, and this came from feedback, also from you, and looking around at different institutions, different countries. So what we saw is, okay, that we did not have yet in Pure the minting of DOIs for research outputs, so for student thesis preprints. For example, URNs and also the handle.net on datasets, license information on records and files. So we do have license information on the record for research output, but then we wanted to expand this also to files and also to datasets. And then funding information on research output. And yeah, open access status added to the different, so I said before, and I will show later, we support different formats in OAI PMH. And we wanted to make sure that these formats all support like license information, open access status, funding, etc. So the requirements now in the box are things that we have worked on this year and that we have released in 528, in release 528 in Pure, so in October. And I can go. And this is the work, so here I tried to give a bit of an overview of the work that we have done this year, so in the last 2 releases, and that we are planning for next year. So we have worked a lot in the past releases on OAI PMH. So we have updated to the new mod schema 3.8. We added endpoints, and here I'm really sorry because I made a mistake in the slide, but we added funder ID. So funder information, not only ID, but we added datasets, not yet activities, although this is in the planning for next year. So it's not completely off the slide. And then we have updated DSpace to version v7 and added enhancements that in particular are the possibility to send collections to DSpace based on keywords or organizations. In 528, I showed on the previous slide, we added funder information, so funder name, funder acronym, grant ID, and funder acknowledgements were available to research output and datasets. And we started discovery, so we have been working on OAI, making additions to Serif, Dublin Core, and mods. And we have started discovery that we will continue into next year on the data formats that are currently supported in Pure, and to see that the support and the compliance we are able to maintain it, and that these formats cover, so that all the fields that are required are covered. I will have a presentation tomorrow on data standards, data interoperability, in which I will also talk about the work we have done and the discovery we have done until now. So if you're interested, join tomorrow. And in 2024, I said before, so we are working now in, so hoping to deliver in February on the minting of DOIs for student theses and preprints, and on adding URNs and handle.net to datasets. And we want to put in place, but this will be further on in the year, we would like to look at OAI PMH compliance, so putting in place automatic checkers. So we know there is an online open-air checker for Serif, for example. So putting these connections in place so that we know that the formats that we are supporting are up to date, and you don't have to worry about, okay, am I getting all the data that I need? So this is a point where we are now, and I already said this, so I can skip. We are at a good point, so we're very happy with the progress we did, and hopefully and in February 2024 we will be finalizing the last pieces. So we will be Plan S compliant as a repository. Of course, I'm always opening and listening, so if anyone here knows of different requirements, we try to investigate like a general what people need. but yeah, we can always go wrong. So this is what we have added for the new funding information on research output and data sets. So how you can see from the this image, you can see that we have added, so on the record, you will have a section that has the acknowledgement to the funder. So if there is any free text or funding text, we have the funder details, so the name of the funder, the acronym, and the funding numbers, so IDs of grants. And here you can see a detail of the funding details, where you can add, like manually, if you want to add, because this is, sorry, I didn't say it, but we have added it both on import. So for example, if you are importing from Scopus, for example, and Scopus on research output has these fields, we will bring them directly into Pure. But you can also have an editor in which you add them manually in case they are not there. We are working, and we will release in 5.29 the possibility to mint DOIs. So we started the work now. We plan to do it, so we have an existing integration in Pure with DataSide, from which it is possible to mint DOIs for datasets. And we are looking at expanding this integration to also include research output. So yeah, the first things we will look at are student theses and preprints. Again, this comes from requests. So if there are other relevant types that you would like, we can always look into it. So, OER PMH compliance. Another aspect of open science, I said it this morning, I will talk about it tomorrow, but it's data interoperability. So we want to be able to understand, transfer, identify the data and be able to reuse it. This is required, and we need to have some sort of standard, because the data can be necessary for different uses and different needs. So each person needs to be able to use it. So that's why we started Discovery, and we asked, so this is a bit of an open question, because we have many different standards. And the question is, we continue to say, okay, we would like one standard to represent all of the data. But the question is this really possible? So for now, we're looking more at, okay, what are the main formats that are used by people, and can we add support for these? Again, more in tomorrow's presentation. In Pure, as I said, we have support for OER PMH. And we have support for different data formats, of which the main ones are serif, Dublin Core, mods, and LDIDL, but we have many others that are supported in Pure. We have done work on this, so what I have showed before about the funding information, we have also added in OER PMH. So we have made a few additions in the last release. So in October, we have added data sets that we didn't have before, and it is now possible to export data sets in serif and in Dublin Core. We have added the funding information on research output and data sets. So again, funder ID, and grant ID. And we also added the open access information and license information on research output and data sets for records and files, so to have more granularity. I have mentioned it, but this is a continued commitment from our side. So what we will look at next year, what we are even looking at now in Discovery, is what I talked about, to try to understand, like, are there a number or a limited number of data formats that are the most used and that we can select and decide to support. We're trying to talk to customers and people in the community to try to see what people use, what if some use cases might be satisfied by using different formats, by more than one. And we want to try to select these formats, and once we have selected, like, the data formats that we will support, then we want to implement, as I said before, automatic checks. So we want to have a process by which we know that if you export data from Pure and I use serif, I don't have to worry that, oh, but is it up to date? Is it? So we want to have these probably yearly checkers that can check XML or whatever we send to be sure that the data is correct and complete. And that is it. Thank you. A bit abrupt. And time is good. Time to spare.
Questions and then we'll run around.
Okay. I was too quick.
7 minutes.
Okay.
Questions?
I'm not running. Didn't run last year, I'm not running.
Thank you very much. Hi, Chris Adams from Lancaster University.
Hi.
See that you're linking the funding information with the are there any plans on linking that with either the projects or the awards?
Yeah, there are actually. So we started, the data models team and also with James' help from the award management, we're trying to now understand what is the best way to do it, because we don't want to, so as of now, in Pure, some of you, the users of Pure, but we have, how it is now in Pure, that it's more project-centric, right? And then the award is tied to the project, the research output is tied. So what we're looking, and we don't want to risk duplicating information, so because we're also importing it. So what we did now was very aimed at reaching Plan S compliance. So the requirement was more, we need the funding information on research output, but we are looking how to connect even internal awards, for example, or projects. So it's ongoing work and it's phase 2 of enhancing the funding information. It's sometimes next year also, because we're still doing work on this. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
So you mentioned, sorry, Omar from Southampton. You mentioned that you're making enhancements to the DSpace connector. Mm-hmm. So we use ePrints, and I know a lot of other people use ePrints. So, and I think one of the we have our own custom connector for ePrints, which proves to be somewhat of a bottleneck when we're looking to make upgrades to Pure. So, is there any plans to be working with ePrint services to improve the connector there?
There is. So there is plans. I don't have a release data for when this is planned, but the reason we looked at DSpace is because DSpace was moving to V7 and discontinuing support for the previous. So in some way it was more urgent to do. But ePrints, because we have connectors, yeah, DSpace and ePrints are the two connectors that we have at this moment. So yeah, there are definitely plans to do the same work that we did in DSpace with ePrints.
You also have now, what's it called? DC?
Yeah, digital commons.
Digital commons, right, exactly, I couldn't remember. You've linked it to Pure, so what are you using to connect those two? And do you use trigger events? And if that is so, is that something that can be available for anyone?
We have not linked it yet, so we're working now. So the integration that we have, because I showed in the roadmap this morning, so what we have now between digital commons and Pure is one way. So you can import, so it's as an import source, let's say. What we are building is, and again, you will have to come to the roadmap tomorrow, because we're building a bidirectional connection that goes through this institutional platform that I talked about. And the idea is that, yes, it works sort of like how we have the record log, if anyone knows, or a Kafka queue. So you can decide what events, what topics to send to DC, and so through the platform, and the opposite from digital commons to Pure, still through the platform, and then basically you listen in. So yes, whenever there is an update, whenever there is a new piece of content, it will automatically be sent. But we're working on it, so Armand, it's not available yet. But it's work that we're doing actually now, so yeah, first quarter of next year, we hope to have already something. Yes.
One more question here. So you said that you're working on that. So it will not be, it will be API, or I guess you will be able to run some script then on something happening. So if you like upload or change something, then you can run a script that will do that whole thing. Because that is missing a lot. Like if you want to send an email or you want to update data in some other place,
yeah.
you don't want to run like a cron job every now and then just to check it. You want to know when it's done.
I don't,
you know what I'm saying? So
question,
I'm doing now that as a hack from a database, from your database. So I'm not using Pure at all.
Yeah.
I'm just reading your data there, and I can make it. But that's not the way how you would love to be done, I guess. So I hope you will build something that will actually, when someone goes to the web, uploads the data or change some data, it will start something, process that I will know it's going on, and then I can check it out.
Yeah. So that it sends you a notification saying something new has come in or something new is being sent to me.
Yeah, but it will be super good if you can run some kind of code, bash script, whatever, that can do that kind of.
Okay. Maybe I will ask you more.
We can sit and talk and share. There are some other systems that can do that. I will not say a name, maybe I will, but we can talk
yeah, sure,
later.
because we are in the process of building it.
I'm
completely
going all
open.
far and deep. This is not for...
No, but yeah, I will look for you.
Thank you, yeah.
Thank you very much, everybody. That's the end of the session.
You.
Thank you, Chiara.